Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Evolution Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Terrance Johnson. As always, I'd like to start off and say thank you for all of your support with Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all that great stuff. As always, I'm asking you to make sure you hit the follow, like, comment, and subscribe button as we continue to move forward of our goal of 100,000 followers on each platform, which we're doing very, very well on TikTok. We're doing very well on Instagram. And TikTok and YouTube are coming up behind the rear, but hey, we're going to ask for your continued support. So let's get right into it. What we've done over the last several episodes that have worked very, very well and continue to get a tremendous amount of feedback is this question format where there are questions that are posed to me and I do my best to answer them, and hopefully someone gains value from them as I do with my other mentees in business and things of that nature. So with that being said, we're going to hop right into it. As always, I have my trusted colleague and friend Gus in the studio with me today. He's going to be shooting the questions at me and we will get started. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Take what you can from it, apply it to your life, and hopefully you will see some measurable or attainable success from these words of advice. Okay, Gus, what we got?
We had a viewer email us concerned about the state of young men nowadays. What advice do you have for young men in general?
What advice do I have for young men? That's a very, very good question. Well, I have some advice for young men. I have some advice for older men. Here's the advice I would tell younger men. I'm 56 years old, and I've been married now to be 31 years this year. I have a daughter. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren, and my life for the most part is pretty okay. Was it always this way? Absolutely not. There were many trials, many errors, many times there were some missteps along the way, bad relationships with the wrong people, particularly with women. And I love women. I'm married to one, so I don't want any woman to think I'm bad-mouthing her. But what I would tell a guy is this. The number one thing you need to do as a young man, the number one thing you need to focus on is your knowledge. And what are you going to do to make money and to support yourself even before you have children or a girlfriend or anything like that. What I will tell you is this. If you go the traditional route of most Americans where you're going to go to school, get a 4-year degree and that type of thing, I'm not saying that there's no path to success that way at all. I don't want to imply that. But at the same time, that doesn't ensure your success whatsoever. I want to make that crystal clear. By definition, I am not opposed to higher education, but I understand that higher education is a business, and they're in the business of making money. And a lot of people don't want to address those issues. And if you might beg to differ with my statement, but I would tell a young man, look deep before you leak, think it all the way through. Be very, very careful about who you are involved with, particularly with young women. Don't make any children. I'm going to say this to you again. Don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. I'm going to keep it a buck, because a lot of times a lot of problems that men are having, they created them. Let's just be real. A lot of men don't want to be honest. I know a lot of times we're bashing the women, and I'm no simp. I'm not trying to put women on no pedestal. Believe me, I don't get down like that. But I just got to be fair across the board. A lot of times, young men, when you have sex with young women and you having sex unprotected, the whole purpose of sex is not just pleasurable, it's procreation. So anytime you sit down or you lay down with someone, you have a probability and a possibility of having a child. And most of the times, even when you're grown, let me just put that out there, just because you're young, you could be older and do the same behavior and wind up in the same situation. So I don't want you to think because a person's older that gives them a leg up on you. No, when you make bad decisions, when you are not thinking it all the way through, when you're caught up in the moment, you out partying, drinking, smoking, and I've been there and I've done that, and I know how that goes. It's cool in the moment. Even sin seems pleasurable for a season. But I assure you that if you continue down that pathway, you make bad decisions with the wrong women, if you get involved in the legal system, hustling, doing all the wrong things. Let me tell you something. I want to say this to all young men. Listen to me good. You do not have to go to prison. I'm going to tell you straight. If you know 5-0, the Popo, 12, whatever we want to call them, is out like that, rolling like that, dirty like that, not all, but some. Don't put yourself in a position. Don't give them a bullet in the gun. Don't give them the ammunition to jam you up. Once you get in the system, I'm talking to my young men, and particularly my brothers. Let's just keep it real. Yo, bro, listen to me. The hell with that. Fuck that. You got no parts of this system, man. Listen, man. They make you a slave when you go to prison. I'm telling you straight. They make you a slave. I'm not even talking about the behaviors that go on in prison. I'm talking about the system itself will make you a slave. When you start looking at attorney's fees, probation costs, fines, incarceration, yo, they want you to go to jail, man. I'm keeping it real with you. So, Mr. Johnson, what are you telling me? How do I not go to jail? Rule number 1, don't do nothing to get your ass put in jail. Rule number 2, if you're going to do something, don't get damn caught. I'm just going to keep it real with you. This is another thing I tell people. You can have on a suit and tie, right? And they're the biggest criminals. So don't let, because a person dress a certain way, don't think that they don't do crimes at the highest level of the executives. That's not true. They do. What it comes down to is an individual choice. So I'm talking to all men, but particularly my brothers. Listen, man, you got to read, bruh. You gotta read. You gotta read. If you can learn them hip hop lyrics, those rap song lyrics, you can read this information about financial literacy. You can read this information about options trading, stock options, trading futures, Forex, whatever it is. You do not have to graduate from high school and go to college and go into debt 100 racks. Don't you see how the system is set up? And it's designed that way because most people are operating under a certain program. And the program that you're operating under is called the norm of society. What is expected for you to do? And a lot of times what's expected for you to do is not what you really want to do. And I want to be clear with you on that. When you're young, if I can go back in time, I would try everything. I would be trying stock options. I would be trying coding. I would be trying everything, and to garner some level of experience and some type of financial literacy to where I could put myself in a position where I wasn't dependent on someone signing my paycheck or punching the time clock or whatever the case might be. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to be an entrepreneur. That's unrealistic. That's unreasonable. We need employees to perform functions in society. But what I am saying to you is, remember that any job you take, they are paying you just enough for you to forget your dreams. I'm telling you straight, they're going to pay you just enough money for you to forget what you want to do, and you're going to look up one day and you're fucking 45. You're going to look up one day, your kids done left the house, my grandkids, and this, that, and the third, and you're looking at your retirement account, and you put yourself at the whim of the government with your 401ks and your Roth accounts. All these systems in place are designed to take your money. I'm not saying that they don't provide some benefit, but unless you get knowledge and education and know what you're doing, you might find yourself in a very, very challenging position, at least existing in America. The average home price right now is beyond the roof. The average person can't buy a house. So if someone disagrees with this whole ideology that if you go to college and you go into debt 100 racks, that you're going to be able to get out, get a job paying $150,000 a year and buy you a $1.3 million home, I like some past that shit. Past that shit, because you smoking something. The world has changed. The world has changed, and it hasn't changed for the better. Let's just be clear about that. The cost of living, and let's be real, because of the makeup of this matrix, because of our societal issues, men and women are divided. So the very thing that would enable your success when these times are happening by staying together are the very things that you guys over the last 10 years have done an excellent job of tearing you apart. So now you have a bunch of people struggling, a bunch of individuals, men and women, that are struggling. So if I would tell a young man, listen, I'm speaking to my men, and again, particularly my brothers, but to all men, but to my brothers, listen, man, let's just keep it real. You in America. Is there issues in this country? No doubt. Does that mean you can't make it? Nah, you can still make it in spite of that shit. You can still make it. Now, here's what I want you to do. You see, I'm going to create a little tension, but I want to provide you a solution. What you want to do, if you in an environment, I grew up in the hood. And back in the day, when I was growing up, there were gangs and drugs, all that, prostitution, all that, killing. It's no different than it is today. There's nothing new under the sun. But the difference back in the day is the OGs, they saw something in me. I studied, I went to school, I played ball or whatever, but I wasn't out there in the street like that. You know, what they call you was a civilian. And the OGs would basically look out for me. Hey, man, listen, this is not for you, this, that, and the third. Listen, man, become someone in your environment, in your home, that's respectable. When you're respectable, believe it or not, even if you're in a less than desirable environment, Just because you're in a bad environment doesn't mean that they're all bad people there, because that's not true. There are very good people in those environments. And if they see you making the effort by the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you conduct yourself, the way you go about your business, I promise you, you will find people in your corner supporting you, your endeavors, your dreams, or whatever, even if it's just a word of encouragement to continue to move forward. So I want to tell my young man, listen, man, don't get caught up in that peer pressure. You do not have to join a gang. You do not. You do not. Now, maybe I might be off base a little bit. The environment might be different than when I grew up. I know sometimes you could be forced to do some things. I don't want you to think I'm naive about any situation. I know what it is. But at the end of the day, as you get older, all that's going to come to an end. I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about where you want to go. If you don't have a vision of where you're seeing yourself going, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. And a lot of times we coddle our young men. We coddle them. Particularly if you didn't grow up with your father. I grew up with my pops. Pops was no joke. Had your foot on the neck. Loving, but hard. Kind, but don't take no shit. His whole objectives were simple: to keep my children out of prison and to keep them alive and to educate them. It's just that simple. Different time, different era, but the philosophy and the ideology still rings true today. So, but listen, keep a good attitude. Here's another thing: take care of your body. Let me tell you, young men, this. A lot of us like to play sports and all that. Cool, do that. Cool. Take care of yourself. But I want to assure you, your physical activity is as equally as important as your mental fitness as well. So you just really want to focus on going in the right direction, surround yourself with some right kind of people. And last but not least, what I really want to focus on, to reiterate this point again, is I want you to start reading. If you start reading one book a month, whatever you choose it is, I don't even care if it's fiction, not fiction. Just develop the muscle of the mind to learn. You must develop, just like you go to the gym and you getting those reps in, you need 3 sets of 10, you need those reps intellectually. You need those reps intellectually. I need you to hear me on this now. I need you to get those reps intellectually. Just like you getting your body strong, get that mind strong. And get that mind strong in a particular department, particularly with finance. Finances are the number one thing that our men are under pressure with. And because how we get down with each other, we don't talk to each other. We don't tell anybody when we going through shit. So we go through a lot of mental health shit. This is just the truth. I want to make a space for the brothers and the sisters. It doesn't matter, but particularly the men. Yo, it don't make you weak. If you struggle for a minute, it don't make you soft. If you cry, listen, that's all a bunch of bullshit, man. You are a person. You have feelings and emotions. You're going to go through ups and downs. But what I want to encourage you to do is don't lose sight of that. I know this is a long-winded answer, but it had to be said. It had to be said. I love my guys. Keep moving forward and keep a great attitude. Hope that helps.
We also don't want to forget the ladies. What advice do you have for young women?
What advice do I have for young women? I have a daughter, and it's not easy. It wasn't easy being my daughter. I can tell you that one. It's not easy. I had very, 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 very high standards and expectations of my daughter, and she turned out very well, and I'm very proud of her. What would I tell young women? Listen to me and listen to me good. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from in this regard, because I'm speaking to you as I would speak to my own daughter. Your value as a woman is immeasurable. I'm not talking about from the materialistic perspective that we see promoted on YouTube and Instagram and all that. I'm not talking about that bullshit I see on TV, on these platforms, excuse me. I'm not talking about that. That's nonsense that's promoted and a narrative that's created to keep the genders apart. I'm not talking about that. There's no simping here. There's no thoughts over here. There's no hoes, no bitches, no weak-ass niggas, none of that shit. That's all debauchery and low-level vibration. Not that it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist over here. Now, what would I tell my young women? Listen to me. I have a beautiful wife. The sweetest, kindest, loving person that I had the honor and privilege of sharing my life with over the last 30 some odd years. Was it always this way? No, not at all. There were times we argued and disagreed and fussed and all that type of stuff. But as we gotten older and matured, that's what happens. You mature in life. I understand the value of I don't want to say a good woman. That's a term that's thrown around a lot I'm talking about a great woman, a strong woman. The greatest lessons that I've learned in life have been in marriage. I've been sharing my life with someone, and your woman is the greatest and most important decision you can ever make. And I say that to my young women, the same thing holds true with the men. Once you lay down and you give yourself to a man, physically, and that man, might say it sound old-fashioned or whatever, it's all good, it's not your husband, you played yourself. I don't give a damn what you say. You can say you get in the bag or whatever. Yo, miss me with that bullshit. I know so many sisters that are by themselves right now. I'm not even happy to say that. It's terrible. They got the crib, the whip, the dough. I mean, fat cribs, big cribs. You wouldn't believe it. By themselves, alone. Your value to society is something that cannot be underestimated nor understated. The woman is the first teacher of our children. It's just the truth. But unfortunately, you've become sexualized. Everything about you is sex. The only thing you can have is sex. The only thing she offers is sex. That's not true. When you're married 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, and you start to get older and you get gray hairs and all this other stuff, and you go through the natural course of life. My wife and I got married, we were 26 years old, and then eventually, menopause comes and colonoscopies and prostate checks and all of this shit that you're not thinking about when you're 30. You're not thinking like this. You're just not in that realm of thought. You're not thinking, what if I get sick? What if something happens to me? You're not thinking, if I have 4 or 5 different children by 4 or 5 different men, how is it truly going to affect those children? Really, I mean, think about it deeply, without the emotion, without anger. You have to understand your value as a woman. It's not just sex. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not just sex, and it's not just being in corporate America. The greatest attribute I've seen was love. The love of a good woman can calm down that savage beast. The love of a good woman can heal a family. The love of a good woman can inspire her children. The love of a good woman can get her husband to the point where he will run through a wall for his family. You must understand that you're a woman, that reason why the universe or God made you a woman, and to operate in your power as a woman. But as long as women allow, which I find so hypocritical, to let society sexualize them and yet say sexuality is nobody's business, but yet you have $1 billion porn industry of women having sex with a variety of men, it just sends the wrong message. You see, the problem in this country is very hypocritical. On one level, they say we're the United States of America, but yet the people aren't united. On one level, they are the fans of marriage and family. That's what they say the country is built upon, but yet you can ride down the road on the highway and you see billboard signs for a divorce. It's really ironic. You say you want to uplift women, but then you downgrade them. And you do the same to the men. Let's just keep it real, bitch ass nigga, hoe. This is what we say. This is how we talk to people. I'm telling my young women this. You do what you want to do, but if I were you, I wouldn't give myself to just any man. I don't give a damn how horny you get. If you're that horny, go down to the sex store and get a rabbit. Go get one of those things. You do not need to get pregnant. You do not need to get pregnant. You do not want to become a single mother. You do not. I come from a single parent home. You do not. Miss me with that. That shit is hard. That shit is hard, and it's unfair to you, the child, and the father. If you're going to have a baby, hopefully get married before you have one. You got to do things the right way for things to go right. This is the problem in this country. A lot of times we tell people it's okay to do wrong without dealing with the consequence of it. I'm going to tell my sisters and beautiful women this, man. Value your body. Value what you are as a woman, and don't just give it to any dude just because he's slick, he smell good, he got the fat whip, he got the bag. Yo, you worth way more money than he can ever give you. I'm going to say this to you again. You are worth way more money than any man can ever give you. I'm saying it. All right? Because you know what? A lot of these dudes that come across like, women ain't this, women ain't that, they got daughters. You see, your mindset changed when you have a daughter. That's what happened to me. Your mindset changes. Once you see your little girl and she growing up and developing as a woman, all of a sudden every woman ain't a thought. Every woman ain't a bitch. Every woman's not a whore. I'm just being real with you. But when you look at what's promoted in society today, it's a lot of back and forth. I'm not with none of that. I want to provide solutions. And with that being said, young ladies, value your femininity. Value your womanhood. I will say this to you. Learn how to be a great wife. There's nothing wrong with going out there and getting the bag. My daughter's in corporate. She does all that, but she's also a wife. You got to learn to balance that stuff out. It's not good to be alone, and it's damn sure not good to have several different men having sex with you, placing their seed in you, and you not getting nothing from it outside of an orgasm and maybe a child with a guy you kind of like. That's not the way you should live your life. And that door swings both ways for men and women. Educate yourself by all means. Learn how to make some money. There's nothing wrong with that. Learn to get the bag. But equally as important is staying in touch with your femininity, that woman side, the natural side. You know what I'm talking about, ladies. That thing that you're able to do as a woman, especially with the right dude. Because I can assure you, there's no guarantees here, but I can say this. What I did is I prayed before I got my wife. No, people might not believe that or think it's old-fashioned, but that's exactly what I did. I asked God to send me the right woman because the ones I was picking was the wrong ones, no matter how good they look. I'm just keeping it a buck. Once I did that, the right woman came, and still there were challenges, but we were able to build a relationship and a life together. And that's what I desire for so many people today. It's not good to be alone. You were never meant to live by yourself, struggle with your child, or you paying child support $2,200 a month, $1,500 a month for the next 18 years. Yo, man, that's not a relationship, that's a debt. But you know what? It's your fault. It's your fault. Because you put your thing in that chick without a condom. You let that dude sleep with you knowing you weren't on birth control. And then now, between the two of you, you have created a child and you're dealing with the ramifications of that. So young ladies, listen to me. Guard your mind, guard your body. Understand that whoever is with you, it should just be exclusive. Now, if you want to participate in behaviors that are unbecoming, you must deal with the consequences of those behaviors. You must deal with HIV. You must deal with syphilis. You must deal with gonorrhea. You must deal with VD. You must deal with AIDS. You must deal with it, crabs. You must deal with it because that's the lifestyle you choose to live. The greatest choice all of us have is that choice. You always have a choice. But unfortunately, many young men and young women, and even adults, choose unwisely. So, with that being said, know your value, know your worth, and don't give yourself just to any man. Don't do that, please. You don't understand the ramifications of it. Ask some of those older sisters. Ask. Don't go talk to someone who you think is not going to give you a real answer. Speak to someone or ask someone that you think would be as honest as possible and see what kind of advice that they give you. Because you know what? Whether you know me or not, I really want you to be successful. Life is better when you're successful. Life is better when you're successful. Life is better when you're successful. Life is very challenging and difficult when you're not. And a lot of times we're placed in those positions not because of any one particular person, but because of the choices and the decisions that we made along the way. Accountability is the first step to responsibility, and responsibility is the first step to freedom. Hope it helps.
How do you make money in today's economy?
How do you make money in today's economy? By any means necessary. There are many. I love talking about money. I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been in business for many, many years. What would I advise a person to do? You want to make money? Well, listen, here's what I would say to this. There are many ways to make money in this country. There's no lack of money. There's lack of knowledge. There's no lack of money in this country. You see condos being built every day, apartment homes, highways being laid. There's plenty of money in this country. What there is a lack of how do I get it? How do I access this? How do I access money? Well, the first thing you gotta do is you wanna look, this is what I did. Just look around you. Look around and ask yourself, is this how I want my life to be? Most people are gonna say no. Once you come to that conclusion, then you have to take some time and really mull through your mind, what steps am I going to take to ensure my freedom? Now, what I would do if I were you, this is just my opinion, unless I wanted to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, something to that extent, I wouldn't go to college. If I can get a loan for $100,000 worth of student loan debt, I would do my best to work any gig I could to create as much cash flow as I could, stay where I'm at as long as I could to trade in the market. That's what I would do. I would trade in the market. If it were me, if I was 18 years old, 19 years old again, or maybe I'm not going to say join the military, even though I'm a veteran, that's always an opportunity there. But how do you make money? It's through knowledge. It's knowledge. Now listen, let me give you some game. Let me put you all on some free game real quick. Education and knowledge are not the same. Many people get educated in school, elementary, junior high, high school. But when they come out, they possess no knowledge. They've just been educated. What do you mean they don't possess any knowledge? Well, when you go to apply for a job, they're going to ask for, do you have any what? Experience. You have none. You see, experience is what brings knowledge. It's the application of the knowledge that brings forth the wisdom. But because you have not been given knowledge, you've been given an education. There's a difference. This is the first thing I'm going to teach young people. Your parents were given an education, and over time they acquired knowledge, which hopefully put them in a better position. I want you to kind of circumvent that. I want you to acquire knowledge. What knowledge do you want me to acquire, Mr. Johnson, about money? You see, if you look at your bank account and you go if you don't even go into your bank, you're just a series of numbers on a screen. That's all you are to them. You mean nothing to them. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be cruel. It's just business. But what I used to tell my mentees, and what I still tell them, is I want you to put on a jacket. I want you to go down to the branch where you bank at, and I want you to introduce yourself to the branch manager. I want you to understand that banking is a business. I want you to understand that this country is a business. This is a business. This whole country, they're in the business of getting taxes. You're in the business of making money. They're in the business of selling groceries, providing power, providing water. This country, this world is one big business. And unfortunately, most of us are never taught the truth on how to operate in business at this level. I would learn the market. I would also learn a skill that I could monetize. Most people fail to understand that there's a difference between what you're good at and your passion. I am very passionate about teaching. I was very good in business. Did very well for myself, but I'm passionate about seeing other people. I enjoy it now. When I was young, I was focused on getting the bag, doing my thing. Now that you're older, you get to a certain point in life, you really truly want to see other people win. So what I would tell any young person, listen, get a little job to develop your social skills. I think that's imperative. How do I operate in the workplace? What is it to deal with clients, customers? What is it to deal with upper level management? What is it to deal with financial responsibilities, whether I'm looking at a profit and loss statement, writing schedules, whatever the case might be? I always share with my wife, the one thing about my grandchildren, I will only have them work to develop social skills, not really to make money in that regard, but to develop the social skills, because you have to be able to rock with people. You got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to vibe with people, because be it white, black, young, old, short, tall, fat, skinny, gay, transgender, it doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, if you're a businessman, you're about the bag. And I'm just being candid with you. That's the nature of business. So I would encourage you to look at the market. The market or real estate are always good avenues, but unfortunately with the big, larger institutions, they're buying up a lot of the real estate to make most Americans permanent renters. And so that's something you might want to look into, but in my opinion, the market's the best way to go. The market is the best way to go. There are always pullbacks and things of that nature, but working 30 years for somebody and making them wealthy and off your sweat and labor. I mean, so many times if I'm out with my wife and then she might be telling me to run to the market with her, whatever. And I look at the people, and you could tell people who have worked hard all their lives, they're broken down. They're broken down. There's usually an older woman with a man walking 10 feet behind her with a cane or something, or he's limping, or, whatever the case might be. And these are people who have worked hard all their lives, and they might not be in the best of shape, either mentally or physically. And again, no one really has these conversations, but I'm going to keep it real with you. The downside to youth is that you don't realize you're getting older. That's the downside to it. And so I would tell any young man or any young woman, learn a skill, learn what you can monetize, stay abreast of technology. The market obviously is not the only way to go. It's just the way that I prefer to go. There are many other things that you can look at, but there's no reason for you to be poor. Now listen to me, I'm gonna give you some advice. What's in your pocket is a direct reflection of what's in your mind. In other words, if you have nothing in your pocket, then you have nothing in your mind worth garnering you money. You see, I want you to understand this is not an indictment on anyone. I'm simply saying, if knowledge is equivalent to profitability and you lack any money in your pocket, then obviously you lack the knowledge in which you would need to acquire to ensure some level of profitability. And this is why the scripture teaches you and I that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. I hope it helps.
And the last question of this batch is, what are your thoughts on the state of race relations?
What are the states of race relations in this country? Listen, it's definitely room for some fucking improvement, man. I had the privilege of growing up in a very diverse community, not of white and black, but white, black, Hispanic. It was Italians, Chinese. I grew up north. It was much more congested with different cultures. And by being in that environment, walking up the Market Street, getting some Chinese food and saying, being taught, Nehemiah, I didn't know what that meant. Oh, hello. Or hanging out with my boy Jose. We in junior high together or whatever. And he was teaching me Spanish or whatever. Then you come from your family and your environment, and then you go out into the world, and the world is different. The state of race relations in this country are poor. They're not as bad as they once were, but they could definitely use improvement. I don't have to go through all the numbers and the statistics to show the disparity among the races. We all know this to be factual. But at the same time, there's some level of accountability that we have to take on as a group of individuals. But I think that the more isolated you are, in other words, if you white and you only hang out with white people, you only go to white restaurants, you only mess with white people, then you isolating yourself from the rest of society to an extent. So you really can't relate to the Hispanic. You can't relate to the black. You can't relate to the Chinese or the East Indian or whatever. And the same with the black person. If you stand over there in your side of town and you never come over here, you don't come try these restaurants in these communities. You don't try to get to know people. You don't try to try new things or whatever. You become very much isolated. Environment plays a very key role in development. The environment you're in will play a huge role in how you develop as a person. And unfortunately, if you white and you grow up around someone saying nigger, 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 nigger with the ER on it, and you think that that's normal, that's how you're going to perceive black people to a certain extent. If you're a black person and you grow up and you saying, cracker, 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 the white man's this, the white man's that, then you by definition, by placing these seeds and these things into your mindset, if you believe them, then it becomes that way for you. You see, most people don't realize you become what you think about. You will become what you think about. If you think about hate, you become hateful. I'm telling you, if you angry, you become an angry person. If you think about, you're having mean thoughts, you'll become a mean person. So in kind, if you think racist thoughts, you become by definition a racist. I'm hoping that the generation behind me can make greater strides than those that have preceded me, if you will. Does racism have to stop you from being successful? No, because not all black people are cool and not all white people are bad. But here's what I tell you. I'm a veteran. I'm a military man. And my wife doesn't like when I speak about the military because of the things that went on during the time I was there. But here's what I would tell you. Never judge a book by its cover, but have a plan to kill everyone you meet. Trust no one but yourself. At the end of the day, it's your life. You came in alone, you're going to leave alone. And no matter what you're working and striving to get, none of the stuff you're working and striving to acquire is going to go with you. I'm telling you the truth. I had to really learn these things. So then why do you do all this? Life is worth living. But no man is an island unto himself. You must understand that we're all here to help each other. Unfortunately, many of us have forgotten that. And I'm going to close it out on this because we're talking about making money and race relations and things of that nature. Listen to me. You don't have to be an evil person. Everything's a choice. Has my life been great all the time? Fuck no. Has there been times I want to go off on somebody? Absolutely. Has there been times where there were financial challenges and I was like, man, I don't know if I can take this shit much longer? Absolutely. But let me tell you something. Once you learn who you are, what you are, and how powerful you are, nothing can stop you but your own doubt, your own self-doubt, your own low self-worth or low self-esteem. You matter, and your life matters, and you can really make your life better. But in order for your life to get better, my friend, come in closer. I want you to hear me good. In order for your life to get better, one thing has to happen. You have to get better. One doesn't happen without the other. Last but not least, I want to touch on something that some might say is antiquated, old-fashioned, outdated, or maybe to a certain extent irrelevant. Mr. Johnson, why did you get married? Love. Somehow, we've forgotten the importance of just loving somebody. I love my girl, man. It's my girl. You dig? Funny, fine, all that. I didn't love her for money, and I know she didn't love me for no damn money because I ain't had no when we first got together, believe me. I wasn't balling at all like that, so I know it wasn't about the bread. And when I see these young people, it's about the bag, it's about the money. I feel heartbroken. You're young. You might think that that's the right way to go, but I promise you, let me give you some advice. Hear me carefully. Remember that the young become the old. The young become the old. You will not be young forever. I encourage you to love yourself. And if you do get in a relationship with someone, to love them. To love them. You have to love each other. I don't hear that talked about at all. There's always, what can she do for me? What can I do for her? This never, I love her or I love him. I will give my life for him or I give my life for her. None of that. What's happened? What happened to love? Now, some might laugh at this. I'm sure some people say, that old ass, you don't know what the fuck he talking about. Cool, whatever. Keep it moving. But I'm telling you, without love, without someone to love you, without you loving somebody, what's the purpose of making money if you ain't got nobody to share it with? What's the purpose of getting the fat whip, the crib, the Lambo, whatever? If you don't have nobody to share it with, and then why get with someone if you do get something, you worried about them stealing it from you or taking it from you or taking half your shit? Now, I'm not naive. Would I encourage men to get married in America in the year of our Lord 2024? Listen carefully. Fuck no. Hell no. It's a rigged system. If 50% of all marriages end in divorce and another 20% are just together for the sake of the children, if you have a 70% odds of failing, nobody would take that bet. If you were to invest in the stock and it had a 70% chance of failing, you would not buy the stock. I'm just being honest. So statistics, based off the statistics alone, marriage is not only a gamble, it's a losing bet for most people. I'm being very candid with you. It's not for everybody. But for those who can survive the storms, the turmoils, the ups and downs, one day I just looked at my wife and I realized this is the woman I love. Am I willing to go through life with her? I'm glad none of us left. I'm glad neither one of us, broke our covenant and didn't honor our agreement, because all these years later, we're great friends. The marriage is in a great place and we're doing well. And we really want to encourage people that life is worth living. Again, I'm not opposed to marriage, but just in the current state of America it is today, no, I wouldn't recommend it. So what would you do? You telling me not to have sex? Well, don't have sex. There's no law saying you have to have sex. See, most brothers ain't gonna tell you this. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Ain't no law telling you got to go out here and bust one. That's your ego. That's you being immature. You don't understand how important your seed is. You just don't, Neither did I when I was young. Let me just be clear. I don't want to sound hypocritical here. Nah, I didn't either. But as I got older and you realize, man, sometimes you just get lucky. Sometimes you just get lucky and you miss the bullet. You dodge one. You feel me? I'm just being real with you. But listen, there's no law that you have to be promiscuous. There's no law saying you have to smoke weed. There's no law saying you have to drink. There's no law saying you have to be a thug. There's no law saying you have to be a criminal. There's no law saying you have to be a scammer. You choose that shit. You know what most people don't realize? You often have heard it said that the greatest trick ever pulled is that the devil convinced the world that he didn't exist. Nah. The greatest trick that's been ever pulled is that people think that they can do whatever the hell they want to do and there's not going to be a consequence for it. You, my friend, are foolish. I encourage you to cleanse one's mind, body, and spirit, to refrain from debauchery, and to try to live as wholesome and clean life as possible. What I mean by that is keeping God's commandments. Not here to preach to you, but I believe in that. Honor your parents, don't commit adultery, don't lie, don't steal, all that. You know what I mean? You gotta live by a moral code. Be the light where you are. Change the environment where you at. Listen to me. You can do it, man. Man or woman. I don't care how old you are either. If you're young, you can be better than you are in the environment that you're in. You could be better than your parents. And what I mean by that, it's not better to degrade them, but the evolution of them. The evolution of your parents. I'm the combination of Beverly and James Johnson. And I am the evolution of my parents, my mom and dad. And so that's what you can be as a young person. You're not better than them like I'm better than mom and dad. Not like that. But I'm the betterment. I'm the best of them. Because I've evolved and I come from them. And I am the best of them. So you can evolve to a position and then they will look at you and they say, I'm proud that that's my son. I'm proud that that's my daughter. You owe it to your folks. You owe it to your mom. You owe it to your brothers. You owe it to your sisters. You owe it to your aunties. You owe. Well, why do I owe these people, Mr. J? Because if one knows better, damn it, one should do better. Remember the things I'm telling you. It's not meant for everybody, but those whose feed this is going to come across, you heard it. I hope it resonated with you. Now go out there and do something with it. Go be somebody. Don't be a whore. Don't be out there. You can be a whore. I heard a guy say, if a woman sleeps with a bunch of men, she's a slut. But if a man sleeps with a bunch of women, he's a slut maker. No, you both sluts. You both sluts. See, I'm not that dude, man. I'm gonna call it straight right down the middle. You both sluts. It might not be viewed the same. I get that. Perception is one's reality. But the fact of the matter is, it takes two to tango. If you're both doing it, you're both getting down, you're both equally wrong. Miss me with all that bullshit. Men always harping on women taking accountability, but very rarely take accountability for the things we do as well. And that door swings both ways. Women don't like to be held accountable. Nobody does. Let me just put that out. Nobody likes to be held accountable. But it is the only thing that is going to save us as a nation and as a civilization and as a group of people is accountability. And you must, my friend, be accountable to yourself. Well, anyway, listen, I hope that this episode has helped you in some kind of way, that you take some jewels from it, that you could apply it to your life. Remember, you become what you think about. Your mind makes it real. Hey, listen, guys, this video, I need you to share it. Hit the share. Spell it with me. Share. If you could share this video, it would mean so much. I need you guys to share this so we can get this out in the algorithm. So that would mean a great deal to me and the Evolution team. Thank you so much. So please share this video. I bid you peace. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'm Mr. Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a blessed day.